Hey guys, we're going to talk about tessellations today. And tessellations are basically like a mathematical way of being able to make an image together and kind of make it repeat. It could go repeat for as long and as wide as you want it to be, but today we're going to be working on 12 by 16. So you can see on here, I have my little goose pattern, and I just repeated it. In areas where you don't have the pattern, you can also fill it in with other things, but like I did the little blue for the water. But you need to be able to think creatively about your shape and what it's going to look like. You do not have to make the same shape over and over again, like the same goose. In fact, I would say not to. Like, mix up your different, like I have the same geese, but I mixed it up. Every one is kind of different a little bit, or at least like repeated just a couple times. So we're going to start out with the tessellation sketch sheet. So you're going to have a couple things on your desk. One is this sheet for tessellation sketches. So this is going to be one of your sketchbook assignments that you're going to be able to do. And you're going to have a square, just the square in the middle there. Also some graph paper on the back of it. Also, the Create the Tile worksheet is going to be in the worksheet as well. What you want to do is like think about different things that the shape reminds you of. Think creatively. Like basically you're probably going to come up with your shape first and then what it is going to be later. So this is getting you creatively thinking about tessellations and how to be able to do them, okay? So I'm gonna show you what's going on in this worksheet that's on your desk first, before you start on your worksheet. So tessellation examples, whenever you have a tessellation, you're actually going to be moving it over. So there's a couple of different examples, there's a couple of different ways to be able to do this. But whenever you're actually working on tessellations, you are going to be moving the parts around, so from one space to another. What I mean by that is, whenever you have your worksheet here, and this is your 3x3 square that you're going to start out with, is I thought about where everything's going to move to. So whenever I had my geese, I knew I wanted it to have a head, so I thought about the shape of the head, and then I moved that shape over here. So whenever I had my tessellation, I made my head shape out of this section, and you're going to move it over here. So this is going to be cut out, and then I thought, okay, I need a place for my neck, so I'm going to move it over here. So anything needs to be moved across so that it can be able to be fit into each other like a puzzle piece. Same thing for the top here. I thought about like how I want the neck to go, and then I created a wing, and I knew I needed that to go down. So I needed that to go down here. That's why I said not a tessellation, because this part didn't move down here. So I made actually this area right here so that the tail the wings would become kind of like this space down here, and then move this over. So I thought, how can I be able to make something out of the bottom of this bird? So you can kind of see from my example that I put this right here, and I'm like, okay, what can this bottom part be? And I thought, oh, that's where the feet need to be. So it's still part of the tessellation, but I kind of made it into something else. So be thinking about that whenever you're working on your worksheet, but also your shape as well. So like I said, you move things over, and it just keeps showing you examples of how you can move your different spots around to be able to make a shape that'll fit into each other like a puzzle piece. Basically, you're making a complicated puzzle piece. So use this on your desk to be able to help you out with making your puzzle piece for each one. So that's for help for you to be able to make your tessellation piece. Think about the examples in the back too, because you can kind of see that they didn't, for some of these, like this bird, it's hard to see in this video, but with the dog, like they just did a couple of dogs and then they filled in some spaces. So you can repeat your tessellation, but you don't have to have every single nook and cranny filled with like a dog or a bird. And sometimes you're repeating different things, like having a bird and a dog in the same space, like having the same puzzle piece do several different things is actually a really good idea. It makes it look very interesting, okay? So thinking about that as well. So just to be able to show you, once you get your idea down, how to be able to make your tessellation piece, I'm going to go ahead and start. So I am going to make the front of my head for my piece. So I'm going to take that. I'm doing it one piece at a time because it makes it easier whenever you stick them together, like making sure that everything is gonna go okay. So I don't even have to like put it down yet, but just making and holding it there is really good. Okay, that's awesome. And then I'm gonna make my neck. So I'm gonna make my neck right here. So now I have my neck piece. And I'm gonna cut that out. So you can kind of see, I'm just moving them over. And you can flip and reverse these, like the workbook, if you want to read through it, actually shows you a lot of that. So I moved this one over here and this one over here. So I started out with these two, and then eventually you just start cutting, cutting, and cutting until you make your template, okay? So you're gonna have your template ready for whenever you get to your big piece of paper. What I also suggest is getting a scrap sheet of paper. I'll show you. So I grabbed a piece of sketch paper, and to be able to make sure that my tessellation actually does what I want it to do, I can take it and I'm gonna put it up on this corner up here, because it's originally a square, so it should somehow line up with the corners of your paper. And I'm gonna trace around my tessellation. Take your time on this. I've obviously drawn this goose a lot of times, so I can rush him a little bit. And then I know that his head goes into this area because, like I said, it's a puzzle piece. So his head can go right here. And it works out very well. So, me tracing him. And then, because I know I brought this part down here, I can line the bottom of him up with here, and it'll make the tessellation, okay? So it's a lot of math, it's a lot of visually seeing things that fit together. And the reason why I say math is because there are many artists that do this, and they use like mathematical formulas and graphs and stuff to be able to calculate where everything is going to go. So whether or not you think about it, this is actually kind of mathematical thinking. So once you have like an area in which you know that everything's going to fit together, you can start doing your drawing. So I started out right here doing my geese. You can kind of see that I started to draw it out too. You want everything drawn out before you color it, but definitely you'll be able to like, you can see how I can fit them together. And some of them are going to run off the page, and some of them are going to like be forward and in the middle, and that's perfectly fine. That's what you want, okay? So you can see how well this fits in here. Like this is going to be the most important part of your actual artwork, is this particular template, because you're going to repeat it over and over again, and if you ever need to go back into anything, you can also use it. But you want to be able to like also draw out your geese. So I'm going to show you how I've been drawing out my geese. I'll take this one and I'll make a geese out of it. So I thought about the beak first. That's why doing this is so great, doing this worksheet, is because you kind of get a feel for like creatively thinking of different objects and different things in each one of these spaces. So you need to think about like, what does this look like to me? Does this look like a bird? Okay, let me make that into a bird. So that's exactly what I was thinking about when I was thinking about the shape. I was like, what does this look like to me? Oh, it looks like a geese or a goose. And I want to be able to draw that out. So I'm drawing out my goose in my different parts. I thought about feathers. So I got feathers up here, feathers down here, and then I knew I wanted this spot to kind of make the feet. Looks like he's swimming or paddling about. And I erased this part right here because I knew I wanted this whole section to be blue, so I just erased that section of it, and that's perfectly fine. As long as they fit together and everything's okay, you can erase some parts of it, like this little bitty part for my goose, but you're gonna see that you can be able to do that just a little bit, okay? So after you get everything drawn out, you're gonna color it in full color. You can see I have a lot of white spaces in mine. That's because mine are work with that way, because these are mainly white for the most part. But you probably won't have too many areas of like color differentiation. So you can see in the beginning of your workbook for this leave on your desk that this is pretty much full color. You're probably going to end up with that. That's why I give you quite a bit of time to be able to work on this, okay? So take your time, make it really good. Don't forget about color pencil quality, and make sure that it looks cohesive. Like I said, it's a puzzle, okay? Good luck, guys.